Welcome back to PJNet Live. What an exciting first half it's already been. But folks, it just keeps getting better and better and better. Okay, we have found the stuff. We have found it. This is so good. We are standing by, waiting, and Diana Sharples is in our green room. She also is a Christian writer and author, and she is going to tell us about some different kind of writing that I had to kind of warm up to this idea before we ever encountered each other at the writers conference. They had stuff about young adult material, and I will bring Diana in out of the green room. Welcome, Diana. Good to see you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so happy. Diana, tell us your professional. Let's do the pleasantries. You know, your background, your education. Bring us up to speed. Then let's get right into your writing.
Okay, well, I have a degree from the Atlanta College of Art, which is now Savannah School of Art and Design. So most of my background was in illustration, but I always loved to bring storytelling aspects to my artwork, and I've always been a writer. I wrote a full-length novel when I was 13 years old. It was pretty bad, but it was an accomplishment, and so I've always been writing and painting all my life. Um, and I was originally pursuing a career in science fiction and fantasy, um, doing book covers,
Mm-hmm.
and I made some headway there. And I had my never-ending elf novel that I was writing. Um, and then Jesus came along and changed my life, as he has want to do. Um, and so I really had to kind of make a shift to figure out where my career fit in with my faith. And I made the decision, personal decision, to move away from speculative fiction. Um, it just didn't seem to fit. Vampires and Jesus didn't fit.
Mm-hmm.
So, for a long time, I sat around going, what next? About 4 years. Now, my daughter was quite young at the time, and I'm probably telling the whole story right now.
That's okay.
um, my daughter was, when she was 11 years old, um, I saw something on television concerning teenagers that upset me. I don't even remember exactly what it was, but I remember my prayer was that, just, Lord, what can I do to help my daughter that I'm not already doing? What more can I do? And he had a bigger plan for me than just my one little girl. And that day, that same day, I had, and I hadn't written anything for years, but that day I had the storyline and the characters and the setting for what was going to be the first in a series of novels for young adults. Um, and I thought that was miraculous. I researched the setting, and it was exactly the way I had imagined it. I had never been there before, but it was exactly the way I imagined it, all the way down to the baseball field at the high school. Um, so I really felt that this was the path that God wanted me to pursue, and I've done that ever since. Um, and now I have 6 novels. Four of them are self-published. Two are traditionally published. My debut novel came out with Zondervan, so I
Mm-hmm.
think I was doing pretty good.
Yeah, I'm just beginning to get acquainted with. I am not a writer, but when I found myself at a Christian writer conference, I'm starting to kind of learn the lingo a little bit and how to ask. You know, are you published? Did you self-publish? And blah blah blah. And I don't fully understand all the questions that I ask, nor do I understand the answers that are given. But yeah, it's the right thing to do. I'm learning here. I will tell you this. When I was filming, there was a young lady named Tessa, and I don't recall her last name.
Tessa Emily Hall. I know her well.
Okay. and she seemed very professional, and I'm filming this, and I'm trying, I'm just there to film. I'm not there to participate. I'm not there to, but my thoughts were, honestly, Diana, with all of the truth in the Bible, why aren't we talking about that? Why are we going into these fictional fantasies? Do you see what I'm saying? I was struggling, being the old white man fogey that I am.
Okay.
I'm actually the world's most interesting man. Don't believe it. But do you kind of understand my struggle? Is where in the world does this fiction fit in somebody, waving a banner that they're a Christian writer, author? And the more I listened, I'm trying to connect. I'm trying to be open-minded, but some people are so open-minded, their brains spill out, She said something that hit me. I watched Narnia. And after that movie, I was praising that movie because of its biblical themes that are woven into the plot.
Right.
And this is a way that you can and look, we're a generation or two away from some of the people we're trying to reach, and the world has changed quite a bit. And I've always been an advocate. Communicate with that generation the way they want to communicate. For example, text messaging. I've written text messaging platforms and couldn't get churches to go along. I'm thinking, you can sit there in the past and get left behind, or you can compete in the marketplace. But that door kind of opened, and I thought, maybe there is a place for young adult fiction. As a Christian ministry, as an outreach, as a way to reach children in ways, and she kept saying, without being preachy,
Right.
And I thought, well, I want to be preachy. Well, you may want to be preachy, but you won't be preaching to anyone, for some segments of the market. Now, I find it odd that I struggle with that. I have, in motorcycle ministry, I would go down to Hooters on bike night and interact with all the bikers there. And everybody at church would condemn me. Oh, Harley Davidson. Diana, I have to share this with you anytime I encounter a Harley owner, because I rode a BMW. But I got a compliment for Harley Davidson. Did you know that 75% of the Harley Davidsons ever built are still on the road?
Really? I didn't know that, but it doesn't surprise me.
Yes, the other 25% made it home.
Oh, God. I walked right into that one, didn't I?
But I would go down on Thursday night to Hooters because what I saw there is a mission field. These bikers are looking for Christ just as certainly as water flows downhill. They don't know they're looking for Christ in many cases, but they're trying to fill that hole in there, and they have all kinds of ways of manifesting that need that they're trying to self-medicate. So, it's funny, I would be so accepting of that in the face of a lot of criticism from the people in my church, but yet I'm sitting there listening to Tessa thinking, this is just way out, this just isn't biblical,
Well, that you were talking about speculative fiction with her.
I wasn't talking about, but God opened my eyes a little bit to understand that fiction is a means by which we can reach a young adult audience.
Gotcha.
For the kingdom. Okay? Now, the fiction isn't the message. The fiction is the hook. I have a sermon called "The Hooks Are Hidden in the Bait." The fictional, the book is sort of the bait, and then you can now enter into a conversation and say, well, that thing in Narnia, where the lion died, as a sacrifice. Well, that story goes back a couple thousand years, actually. You see, it opens a door for conversation.
Yeah.
And it creates common ground. To the point, you won't believe this. I'm looking in the chat room to make sure that nobody is there that I've confided in.
Uh-oh.
One of the problems that I have faced early on in this ministry at PJNet Live is writers, bloggers are sometimes shy about getting in front of a camera. That's different than writing. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I came up with this wonderful idea in 2012. and we actually did a couple of experiments, and they worked very well. Is you take the written text and you feed it into this engine that animates, and the characters, all you got to do is feed it the text. So now the writer doesn't have to appear on camera. So now they can use their animated characters to act out their story, and it's all software, artificial intelligence. All right, well, there were two problems at that time. First of all, I downloaded the demo of the software onto a computer that I still have. It's a Windows XP. The computer came to its knees. It just could not run it. Okay. The other is the website, that we did this on, went out of business shortly thereafter, and no one else has come along. It just apparently is not a good business model. But I found some software called Movie Storm. It's published in the UK. I loaded it onto my XP machine, and while I was fascinated by the software, you would sit there and wait and wait and wait. To produce a 1-minute video would take all day, even if you had everything set. So I kind of set that on the back burner. And just the other night, literally within the past 3 weeks, I'm lying in bed, trying to sleep, and I am reminded that the 2 hurdles standing in my path on pursuing that no longer exist. Sunbelt Girl, who's in our chat room and who has been my faithful companion in this journey, her husband rebuilt a kick butt computer. It's right here. I hadn't even turned it on yet. This thing will run anything. Okay. And so we're set. Okay. And what I wanted to do is get some. The other problem that I faced was, where are we going to get the content for the characters? I'm not a writer. I'm good at a lot of things, but that ain't one of them. Singing is one of the other things I'm not good at. But the barriers are gone, Diana. And I'm thinking, boy, we could literally make 1-minute videos. They'll start out as 1 minute. Okay, then they'll get more and more complex. This software is unbelievable. 3D anime, it's just it's just, and I'm thinking, oh boy, thank you Lord, we are going to kick some butt.
One of the things that I did a few years ago, it was fun, was I took one of my story ideas and I drew it out frame by frame like a comic book.
Like in the old Disney days, almost. Yeah.
Not quite that elaborate.
Not motion, but okay, comic strip or comic book.
Yeah, and I made that into a video. And I ended up making 4 of those and discovered that it was just way too time consuming, but boy, was it fun. And my idea was, and kind of tapping into what you were saying just now, of meeting the people where they are. Mm-hmm. And when I talk to the kids, I ask them, what do you do on the internet? And they said they watch videos. So I thought, well, I got to make a video. I am not a person who is entirely comfortable putting my face on the internet, but this is great. I'm very happy to be here. But I quickly figured out that doing like a vlog myself, I didn't think that would work.
Yeah.
But people really enjoyed these videos. And I may get back to it someday, but it was just way too time consuming. It was taking up all my time to do those 4 videos.
Diana, I can't wait. This software, and the hurdle at the moment is I have a part-time job that funds this ministry. I can't do both. I would need to immerse. And I mean immerse. This software I can handle it, but it's a whole new learning curve, and it's laborious. But you can literally feed it text, and the characters their lips will be in sync. You can design it. It is mind blowing, and I'm thinking we could reach kids, because now I'm connected with people who can write the copy, write the script.
Mhm.
Give me the script. We'll design some characters together, and we can put little. We'll start with 1 minute videos. And by the way, I run advertisements. We use you may have seen some of the highlights of the programs that we do here. Little 45-second clips. I actually run those on YouTube as a commercial. Paid commercial. And I'm thinking, what if we started running commercials on kids? Now you go run commercials of us old people. Kids are not going to listen to what we're doing right now.
Probably not.
Probably
You
not.
have to meet them where they are.
Right. But what if we had some sci-fi action, with young characters in scenes that are contemporarily and contextually relevant to them and their walk and their lives in environments, schools, and neighborhood. The places that they visit, the places they hang out. But we need a storyline, and we got to keep coming up with new stuff. We could literally make a soap opera in 1 minute segments to run on YouTube, and then or random acts of kindness. We could do that. That was an idea that Lori Metzger proposed to me when I was sharing this with her. Is we could just do 1 minute videos of random acts of kindness to introduce to these children just the idea of just ethics, common sense, courtesy, living civilly amongst ourselves and respecting others' differences. So I'm excited about it. Talk about your book. I think of the 18 minutes we've been on, I've done 9 of them. And we don't have to quit right at 20 minutes like we normally do. We don't have another guest following. But go ahead, and since I've used so much of the time, I'm so excited about this.
Okay.
Go ahead and tell us a little bit about you. Hold your book up. Tell us where to buy it. Come on, help.
Okay, they are all on Amazon. Amazon owns everything. This is the book that came out in 2013.
A little bit closer to your face. Come on. Bring it in. Just cover up your face with it. There you go. Okay. Running Lane.
Running Lane. This is about a North Carolina farm boy who tries to fix his girlfriend's eating disorder. So it is culturally relevant. Right. I think even still now, the book is 6 years old now, but I think it's still relevant. If I were to rewrite it, the only thing I'd change is make sure that they all have cell phones. That's it. It's still very relevant. This book, Running Strong, this is the sequel, and this came out last year. Now, this book is interesting to me, obviously, because the journey that the main character's mother goes through was my journey when I went through cancer treatment. So that's kind of the underlying theme of the story. She is in love with her best friend and trying to figure out how to be attractive to him and all that. And then suddenly her mother is diagnosed, and everything takes on a much more desperate mode for her. So those two go together. One is the sequel from the other. And I have another novel out that is available only in ebook, which was originally supposed to be part of that same series, but it didn't work out that way. So it's starting its own series, and that's called Finding Hero. And that came out actually a year ago yesterday from Clean Reads. And I think it's doing pretty well. It's a Appalachian story, and it brings in a few little elements of mystery, but it's not straight out mystery. This one, on the other hand, this is my self-published story.
Closer to the face. There you go. Anonymous. Okay.
This is my first self-published novel, and my goal was to get a bunch of them out quick. There's something about rapid release that really helps you bring in readers. So that was my goal in doing that. This is flat out mystery. And this takes a character from the first book, Running Lean, and he was the bad boy Romeo in that book. and it takes him and explores more of his world. Now, we were talking about meeting people where they are. These books, this series was written for a general market audience,
Hmm.
but it is clean fiction.
Right.
Um, and the secondary characters in it, a lot of them are Christians.
Hmm.
So Noah, the main character who is not a Christian, is seeing more and learning more about what it means to be a Christian
Hmm.
through his friends.
Hmm.
And that is, I feel, a gentler way of bringing the gospel message to people who might not be as receptive.
Well,
Um,
Diana,
See it with skin on, sort of.
yeah, Diana, I can appreciate what you're saying because one of the things that we're doing here right now, and you'll hear me say this, we got to put some weight on the other side of the scales. We've got
Mhm.
to counter program. They are being programmed that we are a bunch of old fogies, that we have a bunch of, that God is a cosmic killjoy who's just waiting to zap you and send you to hell, that
Right.
God doesn't want you to have any fun. Well, that's not the complete message, and that certainly in many ways it's not accurate at all. Christians do have fun. One of my challenges in motorcycle ministry, men's ministry, is to reach other men and say, when I became a Christian, I didn't quit having fun. Okay, you don't have to be drunk to have fun.
Right.
Okay, you don't have to. There's a lot of sin has its appeal, but there's a lot of things that and I didn't become a sissy either.
Right.
Okay, we have skeet shoots. I blow up skeets, and we, go out and pass gas, and we have fun. We do the guy thing. So I am gaining an appreciation for some of this stuff that initially took my just traditional Southern Baptist roots and shook them a little bit.
Hmm.
And it's not the end all, but I think it's a way to open a door. Now, if we don't
Right.
follow through, then I say we're not doing it correctly and we're not doing enough. But we
Well,
do have to open the door.
my husband and I have talked about this, about things that we've seen in television programs or in movies, or that I've read in a lot of young adult books where Christians are portrayed in a negative light.
Yes.
And I think part of the reason for that, other than spiritual aspects, which would be a very deep conversation, um, is that it's easy. It's easy to find a scapegoat
Hmm.
with people that are all around you and familiar, I guess.
Hmm.
Um, so it's an easy target. And the problem is that it's giving a lot of people the impression about Christians that isn't true. And so that's part of what I want to do is present the kids, the characters in my book, as real kids.
Yeah.
Um, and I'll tell you a little story. This was awesome. I used to work with the kids in the youth ministry at our church, and I went on a mission trip to New York City, in inner city. We went to Queens. We went to all the places. Some pretty dark places, I think. And we just ministered to the people there. We held block parties
Hmm.
and things like that, and invited people to come out and play in the bouncy house, or do games, or whatever. And we took 45 teenagers on this trip with us, which was insanity in itself.
Hmm.
Just keeping track of all these kids and making sure everybody's safe and everybody gets where they have to go. It was a nightmare. But the awesome thing, one thing I noticed that was so awesome, was getting on the subway with all these kids. And you have these New Yorkers who are sitting there and they're in their bubble.
Hmm. Hmm.
They're sitting there, and I'm doing my thing. Don't bother me. We're all going to work or whatever. And these kids would start cutting up. And by the time the people got off the train, they were all smiling. These kids, just by their light and their energy, and I gotta think it was the light of Jesus in them. They were having a great time, and everybody else had a great time with them. And so, even without saying a word about the gospel,
Hmm.
they gave a little of it to the people who are watching. I thought that was awesome.
I said last night,
That's a God thing.
it is. I said last night something that I say often, or from time to time, is one of my little tweets is, how long does it take when you encounter somebody, meet somebody new, for them to figure out you're a Christian? Okay, there needs to be a difference. Now, that difference, by the way, needs to be positive. And it needs to be that Jesus, that the Holy Spirit should just fill us up and flow outward. And people need to see something in us that they want. And I think we can deliver. I know that we can deliver. God promises. His promises are true, and yet we sometimes act like that person on the subway. We stay in our bubble like we're doing something wrong. I have a whole video called Caged Christianity. We cage ourselves up in a church that we built the cage, and we let ourselves into the cage. And in that cage, we worship and hear the truth and all that. Well, that's no threat. The lion in the cage is no threat. But boy, when it gets out of that cage,
Yeah.
man.
This is something that's kind of been on my heart lately, in my own walk of faith. You get all this argument back and forth, politics, religion, all the things that are going on in the world today, and there's all this arguing and division, and I'm thinking, wait a second, this is really very simple. Jesus' command to us was go out and make disciples.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that people would know us by how we love each other. And I'm just afraid that too often we're failing in that. We're failing to show that love.
Oh, but we're teaching premillennial dispensationalism. And
oh, you're over my head now.
And Calvinism and, Epicurean. Yeah.
No, I just, love your neighbor, love God, love your neighbor. It's so simple. And yet it's so hard for us to do sometimes.
I think we bind ourselves. I think we weight ourselves down. I wish I did not have to go to work in the morning. I have to produce tonight a highlight video of you and our previous guest. Okay. I've really enjoyed talking to you. You have inspired me, and I think you have.
Show. It was awesome.
Something tells me you would inspire anybody that you encounter. But Diana, thank you. Get on that Harley and ride hard, okay?
I plan on doing that. Yes, sir. Before the winter comes.
There you go. Have a good evening.
You too, sir.
All right. A doubleheader tonight. Folks, it never ends. I wish we could just go on and on, but I will be up until 2 in the morning producing what you have seen tonight. Thank you so much for your participation. Doug, you are here. Felicia is here. Rachel Colby here. Sunbelt Girl. Tammy from Georgia. We have some people in the balcony. Hi, up there in the balcony. You're welcome to hang out anytime. We will be back tomorrow night with Julie Lavender. Julie Lavender writes for Guideposts. Yes, and if you're a Christian, you might know that publication. She's very humble, very just a sweet woman, and you will love to become. You'll want to be here. Now she'll start at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow night, and if Barbara will take the helm, we will continue with PJ Net Live.